So I think honestly, a core thing for me, separate from my vision for my creative output, is I'm getting the opportunity to work with someone that has co-wrote and made and produced and recorded some of my all-time favorite rock music. So to be able to come to the table with concepts and just treat them as a vision, an outline, just a concept in that, and it being a canvas that can be altered under his expert tutelage and guidance, is an experience that I'm thrilled about. And again, I've just not been like super precious about anything. I've left my fucking ego and pride and shit at home, and I'm here to just make the best thing possible.
Yeah, and Dave, what's fun about working with Dave is that he has a sort of tangible perception of what makes good music, and it amounts to a sound that, for me, I actually don't make a lot of records like this, where the riffs are so sort of involved and co-parenting the song. But it's fun, it's cool, and he's good at it, and I like that. I say, Dave, come up with a riff, and he just comes up with a riff. It's not like he sits there for, most of the time the first thing he comes up with, he just flushes out, but it's pretty quick. It's good stuff.
Thanks, man. Seriously, it's been a lot of fun. It pushes me way outside of my comfort zone and into like new creative territories, and I like the idea and the opportunity to view my own music in a way that I was basically incapable of viewing it, because I'm this one-man operation that has no sounding board, essentially. So not only just the having someone to collaborate creatively with, but then someone that actually has like an incredible resume and skill set and perspective that can be applied to what I want to do, while being able to respect like your ability to understand what I'm going for without me being able to show you what it is, because I've never done a project at this level, is critical for me. Otherwise, it would be very frustrating, because I would just be like, no, it's got to be like better. It's got
and essentially, every producer who's worth their salt, has the ability to get out of the way and understand what the artist's vision is, and then figure out a way to amplify and de-amplify the parts that need to be focused on and things that need to be pushed aside as either indulgent or not as good as they need to be.
Gotta check the hot chicks first.
I'm talking to Chad Gray. I don't know who you're talking to.
We've really done what I came to the session with initially has been like completely deconstructed, and like what we've taken to the final 5 has like the 2 of the 10 songs that I came to the table with have been like completely stripped down, line by line, word by word, melody by melody, guitar part, the drums, everything. Like everything has been recreated to create like a foundation for us to be able to have like a contextualized conversation around what's best for the song.
Yeah, so Dave's project sort of lives in a vacuum in his head. So the challenge was how to take what I do, which is sort of a bird's eye view looking out on the entire music industry, and take someone whose perspective is very sort of, with blinders on, looking at a very specific sort of thing, and blend the two. First of all, his ideas are all complicated, so because a lot of his music is busy. There's a lot of components and moving and mathematical sort of moments, and one of the things that's sort of fun for me watching him work is it reminds me of like 20 years ago when I cared as much about the smaller details. So watching him in the studio loop a part and play essentially the same part 8 different ways until he sort of gives me the thumbs up and he's now got the riff dialed in, where in my universe I don't have time for that. So if the concept is good and the application and delivery is good, I'm satisfied. But within the confines of Dave's mind, there has to be sort of levels of borderline OCD compatibility in order for it to satisfy his aesthetic, which I think is a sort of fun. It's fun for me because 9 out of 10 artists that I work with are in a hurry, and we set aside enough time to make sure that we could go through each moment and make sure that there's no weird sort of like thrown together things. Everything seems fairly fleshed out, even though it's not necessarily executed 100% yet, because we're really focused on vocals and making sure the songs work as songs. But the bigger picture of this conceptually is both ornate from his side and sort of well constructed from my side.
Fear of Water is a one-man band. It's not like there's not a collaborative process that has been in place up to this point. So coming to the table with Sahaj, who's someone that I really admire and have respected for a long time, not only as a musician and what he produces as Raw, but also the artist that he works with. I need to come to the table and be ready to not be precious about anything. Like, any riff can be simplified or completely disregarded. We can change the key of the song. We can completely change vocals. And coming from a place where I have, by default, just had to make all of these decisions by myself, including how is this recorded, what plugin are we using, what drum samples are we using, is this double time, is this half time, what's the rhyme scheme, all this shit. Even in the scenario that you were talking about, like if I play a riff 50 times until I give the thumbs up, and if you say, I don't think that's the riff for the place,
sure.
Then I'm like, oh, cool, then let's talk about what it is. And just, I've been doing this long enough to know that ego can be good to a point, but it can also absolutely be the enemy of being productive and being collaborative, being creative, like making sure that my idea is the final idea that sees the light of day. I don't think serves anything, myself, the project, like just...
So typically, the vision is something that everyone's sort of at a baseline. The vision is the thing they're fighting for.
Yeah, so. I'm super thrilled just to finish what we're doing here at Sweetwater, and there's a lot more that comes after this in terms of fine-tuning and layering and editing and back-and-forth discussion, and it's not going to be anytime soon, but when it comes, it's going to be great.
2025.
Fuck yeah. It's going to be a great year.